What's up, everybody? This is Semper. This is week 5, finding your way with Toad Sage and the Anchor VWAPs. We keep diving in. He took a few trades last week, gave him some homework on what to do for this week, and the lessons that he learned this week. Um, what happens when you stick to your trade plan? What happens when you don't stick to your trade plan? Um, that just reinforces why you should have rules, why you should have a trade plan, and why you should stick to it. Um, a lot of questions this week were regarding about um, creating your trade plan, how to do it, when to do it. Um, so you, I think the best way when you start creating your trading plan is to um, create it the day before. If you create it the day before, right when market opens, you set your levels, reevaluate your trades for that day, and then kind of dive into how how the market might move throughout the night and potentially into the morning to see if it sets up. Um, some of the members here have some benefits or reported some benefits to pretty much pre-planning for the day before. And a lot of us are getting into the habit of creating your trade plan when the market reopens the day before. Um, it helps you just be in the right mindset going into the morning when you either modify or adjust your trading plan for the morning session. Um, so that'll allow you to kind of absorb what price action did overnight. And if it hit your levels, then you know that your game plan is kind of on point. If it didn't, take a look at what may have caused those levels to not be hit or shied or blown out. There could have been some pre-market data, pre-market news, something that could have just thrown you off, and that's where it's a good time to readjust. Um, uh, I usually start my trade plan as soon as the market opens, and I start looking for plays that could potentially happen. Um, one of the first two, and and Toad, this is something that I want you to start kind of practicing is writing down the plays, right? Because Brandon will teach us a bunch of plays that could potentially happen throughout the night, and that's why I love when he does the recaps at the end of the day. Because he'll give you 3 scenarios of what might happen throughout the night and into the morning. Um,
Yeah.
so the first play that I look for as soon as the market reopens up at 3 p.m. my time is a half candle retrace. A half candle retrace is if if price action opens up inside the previous day body, then look for the half candle retrace potential move. What's a half candle retrace? It's the 50% of the previous day body. That's one play. The next play is a gap, either gap down or gap up. Usually on ES, on futures, um, the gap will close. So you have to see or identify where potential resistance could be. Right now we're at all-time highs, so some days there won't be any resistance, or you won't be able to identify any resistance. Uh, that's where things like Bookmap might help you find liquidity areas above where there's no resistant levels that you can use from previous structure or previous price action. I think that's what benefits Bookmap. But those that don't use it, maybe do some research. Um, Danny Trades is good. He uses that. Carmine, Acosta or Carmine. He has good videos on how to use Bookmap. Bookmap itself has its own YouTube video, and they have lessons as well. So those are for when you there's no levels that you can't use price action or anything to identify. So back to the playbook. So the first two plays have candle retrace, gap up or gap down plays, and then start jumping into whatever strategy you use to plan out your day, whether it's anchor VWAPs. Um, do you have a plan, Toad? Do you usually have like, or do you just start at pre-market
Yeah, so I've got a plan. I start making my plan around 8. I try to not look at the market till 8:30. Um,
in the morning?
yeah, and then
Okay.
and then really at 8:30, it's like I start with try to go backwards from the daily, weekly,
Mm-hmm.
to the 1 and the 4, and then the 30,
Yeah.
for a bit of a bias, and I'm getting better at that. But right now, as I'm sure you can imagine, it
Mm-hmm.
gets it's a bit confusing to sometimes like look at this, especially because since the market's always changing, I feel like I've got this tendency to look at this stuff and expect that I'm going to see something new in the daily
Mm-hmm.
chart when
Yeah.
really it's like these two days right here, both of these days I had pretty much the same opinion on the daily chart. I was like, we're um new all-time high. All times highs have been getting sold off uh aggressively, starting with like this one.
Mm-hmm.
And then over here we had some hesitation. It wasn't like over here where
Yeah.
we were all-time high running, all-time high running.
Yeah.
Um, so both of these 2 days, and then I used the daily Bollinger just only to say if we open outside of it, we usually come back and tag it. So my opinion on both of these days were the same, though I kind of had this feeling like they should be different. So that can be a little confusing. I think the daily MAs help a lot. Um, so one thing is like the 5 crossing, the 5, the yellow and the orange, the 20, the 5 crossing 20
Mm-hmm.
is seems like an indicator for a bit of a sustained move. But either way, I mean we're day trading here.
But
Um,
you use it like if you have a 30-minute anchor VWAP from the previous day, you don't roll it into the next day until it validates or invalidates?
yeah, so that's really my most important, right? Like honestly, I look at these. I think it's something I should do in the long term, so I'm trying to learn it, but that's the most important, right? Like today, I hopped on late actually. I had a flight. Um, so I hopped on late because I woke up late, and the first thing I do is I've already got these 3 on here. I look at it and it was kind of late, so it's probably like 9 o'clock. So we're like here.
And that
Um,
was that was the anchor from yesterday.
this one was right. So I woke up and we were like here, right? I could set it on the replay. We were right about here. I didn't have any candles from today, and I had these anchors. I had one from yesterday's low day. I had one from yesterday's high day, um, because those were the ones that were in play. Those are the ones that were not tagged yet. Um, and then I look at the pre-market and see where we are relative to that. So you can see yesterday's low day bottom up, right? We pre-market action sold that off. We got underneath of it. So my game plan today, thinking that we were looking uh sort of sort of bearish, was a either push down from the pre-market top. So kind of if we open up underneath of it, that could give some resistance. Um, or looking at the pre-market bottom. So kind of as Connor says, always start with the pre-market.
Mm-hmm.
And his plan was actually short, I believe, if I caught it right. I don't want to misrepresent, but I think his plan was short in the first target being the pre-market bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how I formulate my plan. I make a little bit of a bias, but most importantly, I formulate levels. And I notice my best days and when I just like one of our great traders, Pete. I mean, he says, don't make a bias, just play the level.
Yeah.
So
Uh, that's a great way to look at it,
yeah,
or to at least begin the day that way.
yeah,
Um, because starting with the bias, you might get tunnel vision with that bias, and you're like, well, it can still create a lower high, or it can still create a higher low, and I'm still holding. When you kind of gotta start with the clear mind, I guess. Um, this level right here, where there's two yellow, what's this one from? Was that from the previous day? And then you just did that one from pre-market, right? That little one.
You muted.
oh, I'm muted. So this one is actually this one, synchronized.
From
Um,
the previous day 30, right?
from actually the start of the buy signal. Let me turn off the indicators. Um, so we got the buy signal, the 10 crossing the 50, right, 50 red,
Mm-hmm.
10 blue, 10 cross 50 on the real time hour. I anchored that low, and then you would also anchor to the start of the move that broke the 50, which arguably one of these two candles, right? But those had already got tagged and used as support, so I take them off.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so actually, like how an example of how I'd use these as levels in a bias is if this didn't get tagged in pre-market, or if I was a pre-market trader, I would be looking for this level to either hold or to break, retest, and
Mm-hmm.
go further down. So if I were online trading at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., this would have been solid trade to look for. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so this is that bottom of the action right before that pushed us into the buy signal.
But that buy signal was the previous day.
No, this is actually let's see, because that's Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, 2 days, 2 days. So not the exact previous, but just
Okay.
2 days.
Okay. Yeah, no worries.
I think I don't
Yeah,
have
because I
session
think
breaks in.
identifying like you did right here, right? It tagged this level, the pre-market level, or you would say that this zone right here is a little bit stronger in case it comes back to it during live, because that's something that Brandon teaches, is that live tags are more concrete or more trustworthy
Yeah,
than the pre-market or after hours tags.
right.
And that's why I was asking is maybe we can identify with the anchor VWAPs a potential zone or area right here that you could kind of trust to come down, and then only play these extreme areas where you're getting into a double support, right? The previous anchor VWAPs that interacts with the pre-market VWAP, and not to remove old VWAPs until they're tested or invalidated.
Hmm.
Because like it lined up right here, even though you anchored it a few days ago, it came back into play.
Yeah.
Especially the daily level is that must be a daily level, right? Or
Um,
was it a 30-minute? If it goes
yeah,
into
30-minute level.
it's a 30-minute level, but it was only tested 3 days later
Yep. Yeah, today's
or 2 days
Friday.
later.
Wednesday, yeah. Yeah, so it's tested days later, and that is usually not only what I do, but what I believe it calls for is you leave the anchor on until it gets its test. You move it sequentially. So you leave so this one, for example, on Tuesday, it did not get its test until one, two, three, four,
Yep.
5 whole days later. And then if you played that level, it could have provided the support.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think that's what we gotta kind of do with it with for you is okay, don't remove that anchor wheel because I think earlier you said you remove it after when you're making your pre-market, and I think it would behoove you to leave it there until it's invalidated or tested. Because just
yeah,
like other traders say, or even Brandon says, the first tag is always like the strongest possibility of a bounce compared to the
right.
second or third tag, where it's kind of like, breaking that support down a little bit and
Yeah,
it's making it weaker. That
yeah. So
because we,
if I,
what's up?
oh, go ahead.
I was
If
gonna
I
say
said I
because,
removed them, I didn't mean to say that.
oh,
I
okay,
don't
okay,
remove them until they're tested. Yeah.
okay, perfect. Yeah, yeah, that's what you want to keep. You want to keep that good habit, especially if you're using that level, and then let's say like you did this morning, where that level kind of lines up with this level that you marked off 3 days
Yeah.
ago, then going into it, that level or that zone, because I know the anchors do move, um, that level should be considered a little bit stronger.
Hmm.
So like that
Yes, it's
makes your game plans a little bit more solid.
makes sense. Yeah, and that's actually exactly I was looking to use that um as a potential level there. So that's
Hmm.
glad you said that. That's exactly now they move a lot, so eventually it didn't line up, especially with pre-market, because it's a
Hmm.
volume weighted average. So the longer out um they are, the less the volume affects it. So that's why
Yeah.
like 2 candles into the day, this pre-market bottom up is so high up. And this is just an anchor thing. Like I read Brian Shannon's anchor VWAPs. When they're sloped up heavy like this, that indicates the buying pressure is heavy because that's just how they work. It's a volume weighted average. So that means that a lot of the volume is okay with pushing this up.
Hmm.
Um, so if I go forward 2 candles, it probably reached it. Oh, okay. Well, that it validated that little thought, but it did give support actually
Yeah.
with 2 large wicks.
So the thing that I learned today or this week was price action reading,
Yeah.
or reading where price action could potentially come back and retest, and this is a good example, and I'll draw it out for you. Um,
Hmm.
like you want to look, you want to look for the last red candle before an aggressive move up. So you would identify this candle right here, right? Because the buyers came up and took it out. See how it kind of just wicked out the
Ah,
wick? Aggressive
yeah.
candle took it out. So then you mark off the high wick because that's where it could potentially bounce first.
Mm.
But then you would mark off the body and the lowest point, including the wick, from these two candles, right?
Okay,
So the
so
lowest point is down here. So you would draw a zone
it's like these.
like this.
Okay, that makes sense. Where's my rectangle? That makes two.
from the body. Do it from the body,
The
from right
body
here,
of
from
the
right here to this wick.
okay. Okay.
And look at you got your anchor VWAP from 3 days ago, and then you got this zone right, this box matching up with it. So price action is gonna respect this level. And look at the body of that candle. Look at price action bottom ticked it. This is
Yeah.
probably gonna help you out when levels shy, right? Because it hit it right here, but that's pre-market. So just keep an eye on it because it might come into play later where okay, it always hits the level of pre-market and then live it shies it. But now you have a way to identify the shy because I
Yeah.
would consider this whole area right here pretty strong because of identifying that candle and your anchor VWAP. And then like stop out either down here or a break close a hard open close below your level. But the way that that guy uses it is he'll mark off 50% of that box. He'll mark off
Okay.
50%. And if the level, if the candles start like closing down here, then it's most likely going to continue going down.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah,
And the inverse
something
going
like
up,
that.
on the inverse going up, right? So you'll look for the last green candle up here with the wick before you see an aggressive red candle down, and then you would mark off the low.
Hmm.
If it has the wick down here, then you would mark off the low, and then you would do the body and the highest point. So if this one had a wick right here, you would do the highest point of the wicks, and that would be your zone
Okay.
for a short. And that might
Okay.
help you. That might help you identify price action a little bit better because it does tend to respect these levels pretty darn good.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I'll start doing that. I mean, right now I draw horizontal lines.
Yeah,
I
you could
just
put
draw a
like
couple. I
you
can just
could put
boxes.
yeah, you could put I would label that horizontal line high wick or high 5 minute wick or 30 minute wick.
Yeah,
And then the other one you would just call it liquidity level or liquidity zone.
makes sense. Yeah, it sounds good because right now, yeah, that actually is kind of making me recognize a bit because right now, like if I got this green line here is where the pre-market VWAP made contact.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm kind of sometimes tunnel visioning on that contact instead of looking for my additional catalyst.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like around here, I guess like as soon as it made contact, I didn't really, which was around here. So no real like curl on the MACD yet.
Yeah.
You have the weakening bar,
Hmm.
the lighter red. You already had the double seller wave.
Yep.
Um, but then the five had just gotten the cross down. Um, but there was a strong set of buyer waves. So anyway, as soon as that came into contact, I was like it doesn't look good, so I don't have to worry about it. Um, and then this trade came later, but if I had maybe zoned this out, I would have seen that like it's just coming and kind of digging deeper into it.
Yep.
Um, so okay, I mean, I'll start doing that. think that'll help out.
Because at least when you start seeing those candles, you'll be like, oh, okay, now I know where it potentially can, and then you can look forward into the future, I guess, or at least where you're like, okay, my anchor VWAP's coming up into that zone that I just marked off on the 1 hour or 4 hour. This strategy works better on the 5 minute up, 5 minute, 15, 30, hour, 4 hour.
Yeah.
So at least if you have those zones marked off when you're coming into a 5 minute anchor VWAP and it starts to line up with the 4 hour zone, then you'll be like, oh shit, this is gonna be a
Hmm.
strong level. It's probably gonna hold the anchor.
Yeah.
So it's gonna give you more confidence in your anchor VWAP.
Okay.
So if you're kind of timid to be like, I don't know if it's gonna hold, at least you have a 4 hour. And if it doesn't, then be like, cut it and move on to the next trade.
Okay. Makes sense. And then yeah, we were going on about was it spilled that? We were going on about
You plan?
the morning routine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the plan. So then also in the plan, I just come all the way down to look at the 1 minute and five.
Yep.
Kind of see and then of course because we're day trading here, that turns out to be the most important. So like this morning, I saw we had a fire beat on the five. We started making, we had this big wash, but then started making a bit of some higher lows. Um, we had, I think this is buyer beat on the one, but I didn't really notice too much of that at the time. But mostly the buyer beat on the five. Um, and so I think pieces like that are useful
Mm-hmm.
and have been useful this week, particularly to kind of look for at least some support. Not to say bullish, not to have a bias, but that I can go into it and look for my levels to possibly hold.
Yeah, because the way that I always look at price action before I even think of going long, if there's a dump, if there's a dump like this, I'm not getting in until I see a higher low. Like right
Yeah.
here. See, you guys see a higher low? I would have fibbed it out
Hmm.
from here to here and then waited if that was a 50.
Hmm.
So if I
And
miss
it
this
was.
play, right? If I miss this play, this is probably the 161.
Hmm.
Um, if I miss this play, then you just follow the rule book from Brandon's fib video, right? Once it goes to the 161, can you fib it out right now? Just so instead of drawing lines, we can
Yeah, so I actually did fib it out, but I can turn up my fib. My fib is just the colors. I actually don't have
the lines.
the actual lines and prices. Yeah, so this I go actually, do I have a template maybe? Yeah, I mean that a little ugly, but it's got the
Yeah, I would do the first higher low.
so is that this one?
Oops, hold on. Take off all this stuff. Yeah, from here to here.
Yeah, and then we did hit that 161 um support right at the 50.
Yep, right here. Golden pocket.
Yeah.
And then you also have this candle right here. So I could hit right there. The zone right here. And then boom.
Yeah. And supported these 5 minute dojis too.
Yeah, those
Respect
dojis,
to the
man.
doji.
Those ninja dojis are good.
Yeah, I started making some targets just the doji, um,
Hmm.
and it's pretty pretty effective. I've been trying to just take the points I have and running with them sort of thing. So
Yeah,
going making a target being the doji is good enough by me because I'm not really worried about catching the whole thing.
yeah. Um, and some traders, some new traders are like, well, how could you have caught this level? Because
Right,
you're paying attention to the candles, right? So the first red candle is that one right here.
right.
So you fib it out, even if it invalidates right away, because sometimes it'll do this, or in the same candle, it's red, and then the next candle is green. All right, well then remove the fib, but fib it out. So like that, if it does come in into your golden pocket right here, you can catch these plays.
Hmm.
And that's called the first leg or the first leg pullback. And that's this one, right? So that's your first leg is right here, second leg right there, and then your third leg. Third leg usually breaks down.
Hmm.
And then if you had this zone marked off, I don't know, was that the 5 minute? Yeah, huh? 5 minute anchor.
Yeah, this is the five.
So, but if you would have had that zone marked off and the anchor right there, you probably could have caught it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I'm
Um, hmm.
not sure what you would have caught over here, but
Yeah.
maybe I'm
Well, I wouldn't
introducing
be
too many
trading
tools.
pre.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't know if I'm introducing too many tools at once. It's usually finding your way. We just concentrate on your anchor rewraps. But um, that price action zone that I told you to mark off, I think that might help you a little better.
Yeah, yeah. I think.
So the game plan, right? Leave the previous anchor VWAPs if they haven't been invalidated or tested, and then you do your pre-market anchors, right? Or do you use them going into live, or do you remove them? Because
No,
I
I use
listened to
them.
Connor and he uses them, or I know
Yeah.
Brandon uses a pre-market high, pre-market low, and those seem to be pretty laser, especially they line up with his moving average or his fib strategies.
Yeah. So the strat, as I understand it from Connors, you use them until they are out of play.
Okay.
After this one came and found support, which really might have really arguably been this doji. But like you say, the strategies all line up. So basically that pre-market level has already been utilized. So then at that point, then you kind of stop looking at it.
Hmm.
So I do use them live until they are out of play.
Yeah. Another thing I recommend you should do is, I know you don't like to, is see how you can anchor after hour VWAPs and how you can potentially use them. Not saying to trade them yet, but let's see if you pick up a pattern. Like let's say it gaps up, right? I called out two plays earlier, the half candle retrace and the gap up, gap down
Okay.
plays. So right when market reopens, I don't know what you would anchor, or maybe you would just use a because the last 10 minutes of the market or from power or when the market closes, maybe you can anchor those because those candles move pretty volatile.
Hmm. Yeah.
and they might give you a play, might not be big, but they might give you a play for after hours. I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas at you, see what you could
Hmm.
potentially use just so you can be ready for the pre-market and the after hours. Because ultimately, I think most of the participants didn't trade pre-market going into it. I don't know. I know Lasagna Cat didn't. I don't think he traded pre-market or data candles. Correct me
Yeah.
if I'm wrong,
Yeah,
Lasagna Cat.
no, I didn't while I was going through it. I trade pre-market now, and in general with data, I wait for the second
Data
week.
to digest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I recommend, but I want to prepare you for it because a lot of the moves happen in pre-market, especially when data comes out at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. You
Hmm.
might be able to catch a play there and call
Yeah,
it a
especially
day.
on those Wednesdays or Thursdays, you know.
hmm And call it a day, and then you could go on with your day. So you recuperate a lot of the day instead of staring at a screen waiting for your play to play out, you know.
Hmm.
Uh, so I don't want you to trade it live, definitely not live. Sim maybe, or maybe just call out your pre-market play. So like that you can start getting used to the price action a little bit faster or pick it up
Okay.
faster. Pick it up faster because that's like one of the main things that helped me is staring at these slow ass candles in the after hours. Um, but then I picked up on characteristics on the candles on how they hit my levels, right?
Hmm.
So I can be able to identify a weak candle that's hitting my level versus a strong candle that's hitting my level because they move so much slower. And don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, sometimes the move happens after hours. Like if CPI is coming out the next day, then the move might have set up the in after hours or pre-market because we all know that news leaks, right? Or data leaks,
Yeah.
and somebody might have got the edge because I believe one of the books, either The Hour Between the Dog and the Wolf, says that the bankers, like all the Fed meeting bankers, they meet with the banks. They meet virtually or whatever, I don't know. But they meet with the banks and the data, like say the CEO of Bank of America got a edge on on a data leak from the feds. And then so he's telling or not Bank of America, but like Charles Schwab, right?
Mm.
Their CEO got a tip from the feds that the market might do this, and he'll feed it to his brokers or whatever, and then they'll start playing the play before because they already know what data is gonna be.
Okay.
We'll get into that a little bit in week 6 and week 7, between 6 and 8, where we start talking about market psychology. So you can kind of predict what might be forthcoming later because like this FOMC, right? Um, Jay Powell was talking about what he wanted to see, what he wanted to see in the market, in the job market, what he wanted to see in all these other sectors before, or all these reports before he makes a decision on cutting rates.
Mm. Okay.
But that comes into play later once we get your game plan down, your strategy more laser, and you're gonna be able to start trading data and be like, okay. And that's slowly what we did with Lasagna Cat, Easy, and then it's like, okay, we found identifiers, whether it's a moving average crossover, whether it's price action in correlation to moving averages, or in correlation to fibs, where we can kind of predict what data might do.
Yeah.
Uh, so that'll give you a better, deeper understanding of um, price action and how to deal with it. So let's recap some trades and see
Yeah,
what's
let's
up.
get it. I've got two
You want to do your reds first, and then your
yeah, it sounds
greens.
good. Start with the Reds. I've got two red days this week. One of them just a couple simple ones, and one of them few sort of heavier, kind of just chopping away at the same uh loss few times, which was frustrating at the time, even though it was on sim, it's like
Hmm.
doing well in sim is a prerequisite for continuing. Um, so it feels very real. Um, so today, or this day, the plan as stated was to look for this pre-market bottom of the VWAP, which was this green horizontal. Um, so when that came about, it crushed it. It crushed it right through it. And then once that actually occurred, as I wrote, my plan was to then um, go look for a retrace to go short on it. Um, so once that actually happened, realistically, what I should have done is anchor the top, or one of these candles really anchor the
Hmm.
top here, um, anchor a strength candle. I like to do, especially on like shorts that might continue really hard. Anchor the continuation. It should have been this one right here. Um, and then look for a retrace into the zone. So if I pull up the other chart here that's got the fives, the 5 minute, you can see that actually, though I mean the 1 minute MAC had just freshly crossed in pre, it was expanding, um, and then at that point, that's kind of a bit clear that it's looking pretty short. The 5 minute MAC is pretty strong to the downside. We had just gotten this strong downward move, and yeah, the pre-market bottom up got ran through. So, but then what I went for, let me pull up. This is six, yeah, 11. Is kind of like a series of trying to just make that one work. So I had uh, this one as my first one. The entry is the yellow. Um, because what I had done, let's see if I've got the bottom anchors. Um, well, what I did was anchor this bottom, and then anchored one of these strong candles, and it made this tiny little zone, just this like tiny little zone. And then it came up, and I was like, "Oh, here's the strength candle. We're about to go ahead and actually push back up through that pre-market VWAP." Even though in my plan, as stated, I wrote, if it fails, look for a lower high and then call it a day, because I don't want to be looking for a bottom. Just catch a chunk of the short and call it a day. Um, So I was happy about the stop because I got in and then it kept chopping the zone. And I was like, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes of consolidation here. And then I finally kind of opened my eyes and was like the Mac's not looking good on the 5. It's not looking good on the 1. We already broke through the pre, so I actually just stopped out right here for what is it like? Not even a 1.75 points before we actually got down here. So I was happy with the stop at first. So that was my first trade there, and then we got down towards the bottom, which was my next level down. I'm pretty sure. And go ahead and double check on that. This was what 611, 611 here. And there's that push down. Uh, we had started the buy signal there. Bottom. Next in sequence. Yeah. So untested. So yeah, then my next level down is going to be 532.50-ish on that day, um, which it also ended up coming down to, kind of going through. Yeah, you have thoughts
But
there?
that last trade, you can you go back to that real quick?
Yeah, the actual execution. This right here.
So you entered down there at the bottom and you got stopped out at the top?
No, I actually entered on the yellow and stopped on the red. I was going long against my own plan. I
Yeah,
should
yeah.
have been going short. Where my entry should have been. If I pull up the trading view on that day, go to the 1, go all the way over to the 11th. Here's what I should have done because my level was right around here, and we crushed it. We
Mm-hmm.
crushed it. We had the strong 5-minute red Mac. I should have done this. I should have went and hit it with the top anchor, hit the continuation split candle with the top anchor,
There
and
you
then
go.
once this kind of wicks it, I should have done this. Maybe get in on the close of that doji, um, and then I don't even know where my target would be except for that 52 level down there, my next level down.
The
Um,
other way is to look at structure from previous.
There was hardly, yeah, I could have looked at the previous day.
Then
So
then that's your
like here,
see like hold on one sec. Um
I'll go ahead and make that.
you could be like right here or just take it down in steps. Here, 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 last part right here. I mean it did ultimately go here,
Yeah.
but you gotta tell yourself because this looks like it lines up there, right? And if you would have entered here, your first your first one should have
This
been
was
around,
open.
huh?
So so that level, this level was right around the open. So my entry would have been here.
Oh, okay.
Just kinda,
Yeah, so
yeah.
your first level then, oops, hold on one sec.
Would have been, I guess, this line that you drew here.
Yeah, this one right here.
Yeah.
And then if you would have seen that gap, maybe that gap
Hmm.
as your final, or this could have been your final.
Makes sense. Um,
So,
yeah.
but getting in long when you haven't seen a higher low is a bad idea.
Yep. Yep. It didn't actually do. So that's why I don't even know why I was tunnel visioned on that long holding. Um, I mean,
Hmm.
there was no higher low. It didn't push off because what I did do was I anchored that bottom. I tried to make a zone on the bottom, putting it on probably like this candle here. And then it's like really ultimately the anchors were pointed down. Like this
Yeah.
anchor was pointed down.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing even broke this candle.
Yep.
So just tunnel vision on that, and then found myself down at the bottom here. Didn't take the next level down. I was, I didn't try to just go for it or anything. Waited here, and then we got this action,
To go
and
long, right? You waited to go long
yeah,
or to continue going short.
waited to go long.
Okay, yeah, that's
Um,
good.
yeah, so then I've got if I pull back up this chart, this green horizontal was my next level down. Um, actually pull up this 3-piece chart. So this green horizontal was my next level down. We broke through that, but then got a pretty strong green kickback candle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I think we were down pushing the -2 VWAP on the day. Um, I felt like we had fallen pretty far. So then I went for what would be a scaled down um, B grade,
Mm-hmm.
just going for a strength candle, right? So you have this huge, what, like, I don't know, 6, 7 point candle right here.
Yeah.
A little bit of chop, right? And then a strength candle that breaks these levels. So I went in here for like what would be a scaled down B grade for like a scalp up to the goal for that scalp would be only to basically the top down. So would be the top down from the wash. So like maybe this one. If you wanted to be really safe, you can start from actually the big wash. Um, or something you wanted to think you can go further, maybe like up here. Um, but then and then the stop should have been below the low, but I was annoyed that that I didn't listen to my plan. So I actually stopped out early. I stopped out on the bottom of this candle right before it went my way. Um, and then continuing the annoyance streak, right? And kind of I think like taking sim seriously, but not as seriously as I should. Because then trying to essentially short against that move to bring it back down and stopped out there and then tried that again and again before finally being like, okay, what am I doing? Because my plan was this level, right? And then if that didn't work, then look for a long at this level. And now I'm just playing against my own plan. So this was frustrating, but in the back of my mind was like, all right, this is why trading is all psychological because my
Mm-hmm.
exact plan actually played out. I would have
Yep.
been short at the break of my level. To my next level down here, I would have waited to go for a long, um, and then moved on up. And using
Yeah.
my strat, I actually probably played out or anchor the interacting candle.
Mm-hmm.
I anchor the candle that breaks that one, and then wait for it to kind of get in my zone, and then go long at the break of the testing candle. So that would be so this candle got into that zone kind of
Mm-hmm.
barely. So I don't know how I would exactly feel about this entry, but we had just come from super overcool RSI, broken
Yeah.
into the 50, bounced the 50 line. I bet the 5 minute Mac was looking
Um,
pretty decent.
I got a question. When you're anchoring these,
Yeah.
are you doing it immediately after you see a candle do what your rules say to anchor?
Yeah. So my
Like
level was
before this price action was over here, you already had this anchor, right? Or no?
yeah, so I would have done this. So my level's this green line. As soon as that comes in, I'm anchored to the bottom of this candle.
Okay.
And then I've experimented with moving them, like chasing the bottom
Yeah.
with the anchor, so then moving this anchor. But it seems like it is better to just leave it. I don't know, but it seems like it's better to leave it. And
Just
that kind of
just
makes sense.
just
Yeah,
how I told you how I do the fibs. Remember I told
yeah,
you I wait for a bottom base and then I'm looking
yeah,
for a higher low. Or I'm looking for the first red pullback.
right.
So I'm looking for the big red candle pullback. And then after that, I will adjust the fib if I get a candle that may have an interact. If that first red pullback candle has an interaction with the moving average, that candle to me is a lot stronger than a floating candle in between two moving averages, right? So if that happens, if the candle is in the middle of, like, let's say the 50 SMA and the 10 SMA,
Yeah,
because that's usually the first leg up, is the 10 is low and the 50 is high, and then you get a red pullback in between, right?
right,
But then later I get a more definitive candle that has an interaction with the 50 or the 10.
right.
Then I will adjust if I see price action moving a certain way. Um, or if it's like a big range candle and it hits the 50 and it hits the 10 SMA, then I'll adjust it to that candle, right? And that's what I think you should do is where you anchor just how you do and leave that anchor there until it's invalidated or or if we identify an adjustment candle to adjust to.
See, I think now I was doing that, and I will continue experimenting with both.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah,
I think,
to see
yeah,
what's going to give you a better probability,
yeah,
right?
I
What
think it's leaving it there.
yeah.
I could
Yeah.
be wrong, but the reason I think it's leaving it there is because if as I'm only try as me a screen based trader, I'm only trying to ride the move of bigger player.
Hmm.
So if this level's valid and their volume is going to start accumulating with this candle, um,
Yep.
and if their volume and if it's a volume weighted average price, I want to be watching their volume from the moment they started accumulating.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm going to continue experimenting with both for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Please do
but
select that. We get a better identify a better way for your style, right? This is the way
yeah,
that you trade. I'm
yeah,
sure other people might adjust where you keep it, but both levels are hit at a certain time throughout the day.
right.
Like
But that kind
your
of makes
level,
sense, right?
yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
it does. And your level might hit first before their level, or their
yeah,
level might hit before your level. And
yeah,
that's where you got to be like, okay, I anchored these 2 points. What level hits? So like that, you can start adjusting your patience
yeah,
to the higher probability level.
right. And it's also speaking of like, I mean, I guess stops and where to put levels and what is that if I move it to the low, there's less volume. Um, so the newer one will adjust quicker,
Hmm.
and therefore, uh, my trade would be invalidated sooner if I'm taking a stop based on the VWAP.
Hmm.
But I'll definitely keep doing both. Um, and then
Yeah,
yeah, either way, what I should have done here instead of getting in here, I would have left this anchor here and then just done nothing, just waiting, kind of like, I don't know if this is gonna work out. This level might not hold. Just
See,
waiting.
like at that point right there, or go back a little bit,
Yeah,
like, no, right, like three candles before,
3 candles before. Okay.
like right there,
Yeah.
right there, you should be telling yourself, I think we found a base. I'm not getting in long until I see a higher low. So don't play it yet, but in like 3 or 4 candles, you'll get a higher low. And then you get your first signal, right? But your first signal, you don't want that to be your entry signal because that's a subjective way to enter. So you get your first signal, you got a higher low. Okay, now we can potentially go back up to this VWAP up here, right? So if you play it, you told yourself we found the base, and now I want to see a
Hmm.
higher low. If you had your 10 SMA or something on here, it would have probably been like right there, a higher low. But we're just
Yeah,
concentrated on anchor VWAPs and price action right now. So go ahead and play
I
it.
bet it would have called this. Okay. Um. Yeah. So
So
then
now
we
you got a
got.
higher low right there, and it tests your anchor,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So you don't have to enter.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be looking to enter according to the rules we made, which we can adjust. But then what I would do is anchor one of these candles, either this one that breaks the testing candle, so my original anchor, or I would anchor this one, which could potentially be the strength candle from the higher low.
Because it lines up with that 30-minute, right? That green line is your 30-minute.
Yeah, that green line is the 30-minute I was looking to hold,
Yeah, so
or
then
break
see
and
how,
retest.
so see that anchor right there, how it's starting to line up? I would be looking for that level. And that's the way that I look at the moving averages. Like, let's say I'm looking at the 10 SMA and then I see a volume profile over here and price action already left. But the 10 SMA is so close to that volume profile that I would expect price action to come back down. And hopefully the 10 SMA is like right lining up with that volume profile. It hits and then it goes because that's telling me that that's fair price for buyers to come in and take it up more.
Okay.
Know what I'm saying? So I'm already
Yeah.
like kind of forecasting, okay, it's at this my this anchor right here, I don't know what you call it, is lining up with my 30-minute anchor. So now I got an area right here that I can wait for because I know it's a double area, meaning there's two anchors or two levels that line up, and I want it to come back. I want it to shy right here. So like that I can
Yeah.
get a pullback to get in and then hit that level. Know what I'm saying? Because that's how we use the fib. The fibs, if you miss the golden pocket, the next play that you're looking for is the shy of the 161 for a pullback to the 100 so you can get in and go up to the 161. So that's
Okay.
where that's kind of where I'm pulling that mindset from. You got to prepare for these levels, right? Because you don't know if it's going to go up and hit that level or come back down and hit it. But you're not going to get in right here in the middle. You don't want to get in on no man's land because you don't know what the heck it's going to do because it could go this way or it can go down. So you got to get in the habit or in the practice of identifying a potential strong level that price action can come down to and respect and bounce. Because over here where you got in, you never had a higher low. So you
Yeah.
shouldn't have even thought of getting in long.
Right.
And you said that you should have thought down because you're anchors, right? So
Yeah.
You got to
broke
start
the
writing
anchor.
these rules. I'm not getting in long until I see a higher low. I'm not getting in short until I see a lower high.
Yeah, because I guess realistically, other than the 1 minute Mac and the 5 minute Mac as confirmation, and this wouldn't have been a great trade either.
Hmm.
Even if I did take it, it worked.
Yeah, because that would have been a counter trend. You should have got in here or somewhere near the bottom to get 4 to 6 points. Remember, counter trend trading is a lot smaller. So it's 4 to 6 points on ES, at max 8 points. If you're lucky, you'll get 10. Rarely you get 10. On NQ, you'll get that like no, one candle. But that's what you have to start adapting to. Am I counter trend trading or am I trading with trend? If you were counter trend trading here, you should have got in, looked at price action, whatever price action is, see if there's any market structure. And then, okay, this level might be support. Let me counter trend trade it. But I don't think we should concentrate on counter trend trading yet.
No,
I don't think you're ready for that yet. But just take that note down of saying, okay, counter trend trading, I'm looking 4 to 6 points. Quick, 4 to 6 points. On ES, obviously, not NQ. NQ, you probably get 10, maybe 12 points. Um, but when you're counter trend trading, it's always going to be smaller than when you're trading with trend. When you're trading with trend on ES, it can be 10 points, right? At the minimum, 10, maybe 12, maybe 15 points. Yeah, you can catch bigger moves, but that's when you hit a home run. Remember, you're looking for
yeah,
base hits. You're looking for base hits. You're not looking to hit the home run. You'll hit the home run, whenever the opportunity presents itself, but you want to get your batting average solid. You get your batting average good, then you're always going to hit base hits.
yeah,
Um, and then, you'll price action will present itself once you're trained up and you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be a home run. And then you get in and you're like, oh shit, hell yeah, that's what I thought.
right.
Uh,
That makes sense.
but you gotta switch that mind. Okay, you got lower high, right? Lower high, lower high. You got price action that based out here for the sellers, and then you start getting lower high. So now you're trading down. Your trend is down. It could potentially still be a higher low over here and a higher low over here, but in the time frame that you're in, the trend is from where it broke that's where you should be looking lower high, not to go up.
Yeah. Mhm.
Unless it breaks this VWAP, right? Because Connor said this week, if a VWAP, like a big strong candle like this, busts through this VWAP, then you expect for it to test that VWAP or retest it and then go up.
Okay. Yeah. I do have that one in the playbook, the retest. Actually, today, that was just take a quick detour. Today, I actually, because we opened underneath the bottom up, I
Hmm.
was expecting that bottom up to get retested and then come on down. I actually went and typed in the chat, like, taking short here, start underneath the bottom up and then come back for the retest. And Connor was like, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we could get some short here.
Yeah,
So I love that one.
yeah.
Um, and that's exactly what I should have been looking for here. And I was thinking about that one today.
Hmm.
I was like, I've seen this, like I learned this, that was
Yep.
my plan. And um, but anyway, on this one, at this point, so I already got in here and took a loss here with this, like, fine for like a very scaled down play, I mean, maybe I don't even know what grade, but I mean, maybe, and I could have caught. I mean, it was 2.5, 2 points in my favor at some point. Um, should have broken out even. Um, but at this point, waiting for what should have been the actual play is like, boom, we got interaction with the zone. Um, I think dig a little deeper here, maybe even one more, but consider getting in if it breaks like this action up here. So maybe I would be in here. I mean, we have the 1 minute that already crossed. Um, the 5 minute would be the 5 minute doesn't look great, but the 5 minute RSI is starting to push up. Um, so got into this zone here. Off the candle that broke the testing candle, that anchor. So removing that one, and then came back up to test his VWAP right there. So could have been out there um,
Yeah.
for 4 points. And then eventually, if I had, two pieces, could have been out a third, stop up.
Well, see this
Target
doji
out.
right here? See this doji right here? This is what you should have been paying attention to
This one.
if you wanted to get in here somewhere.
Oh yeah, I remember. I remember you said the dojis can stop my level.
Hmm. But now that I learned that new method of marking out your zone, remember how I just taught you how to mark it up on the way up?
Yeah.
This right here, you would mark up on the way up this way. I used to just do the doji, like especially a doji like that, I would just do the doji line.
Okay.
But now that I'm testing out this method to see how accurate it is, but if you do the doji body to the wick high,
Yeah.
then that would give you that zone. And you got the zone from your 30-minute VWAP, right? Your 30-minute VWAP, especially that I see the 30-minute VWAP line up with that doji. That should have been like your line in the sand, like, okay, it's gonna come back to this to potentially hit that.
Yeah. It makes sense.
And if it holds, you can get in right here. Break the body break above this doji.
Which is exactly
Or if you're a little bit more aggressive at the touch of that zone, which is
yeah.
lines up with that doji.
Hmm. And then what? Stop below the doji, about
Well,
three
it
points.
depends where you would have entered. Yeah, you would have stopped out right here to keep it tight, right? If you have a cushion, then maybe down here.
Yeah.
But if you have a tight stop, a breaker below that zone, a hard open
Yeah.
close. If you would have entered up here, I definitely would have just done the low breakout or stop out.
Yeah. That's um since my targets are going to be small, like if I got in here, I would have been looking for. I mean this, especially because I mean this has now become a 1 minute trend, sure,
Hmm.
but we haven't broken this yet, so this
Yeah.
could still be a grand scheme higher low.
Yeah. And that's
Uh,
why it would be good to lock in right here 50, 75%.
yeah,
Let some ride to right here potential. If you
yeah,
start seeing weak candles right here, weak small candles with high upper wicks, then maybe lock out.
right.
But if they're strong, full body candles that are looking strong, then it might bust through. So
Right.
that would be your squeeze point, pivot point. If you get it, you're gonna fucking squeeze up to this level up here, to the next
Hmm.
level.
That makes sense. Yeah, and I've been trying to. I don't want to add too much in, but
No, no, no.
because for a while, I'll use, just something small. Um, and look for small scalp moves. Um, and then at some point try to try to move up further, but then eventually I'll want something to help me try to figure out when to stay in a trade. Um, so I've been
And,
trying to move around and get into other VUApp tools for that.
and that'll come with screen time. And what
Yeah.
that's why I kind of like me, I was happy with hitting 5 points on
Dude, if
one
I can
trade.
hit, yeah, if I can have a strategy that works with even one ES, an average of 5 points a day, that's fine by me for a while.
Yeah, that's $250 with one contract, dude.
Yeah,
One contract, 5 points. That's 250. So with one contract, that's why me when I first started, like started creating this process is okay, I'm gonna start off with one contract. I'm not gonna over leverage myself. I'm gonna practice risk management and do it good. And then once I got two contracts, I was like, okay, now that I know that I can hit my 4 or 5 points to the 50 SMA or the 100% fib, then okay, I'm gonna lock in one right there to guarantee green, right? And then let
yeah,
one ride of the 161 or maybe the 100 EMA. And I
yeah,
slowly started scaling up, catching these bigger moves that
yeah,
after a while I was able to see, okay, this is a strong candle, so I know it's going to consolidate and potentially push up to this area up here.
right.
And I would lock in right there, 50, 75%, and then on to the next zone. I know that some
Right.
players say, well, why would you hold or why wouldn't you hold if price action looked strong? It's like, because you don't know if news is gonna come out and then fucking dump on you like that.
Yeah, different strategies. I'd like to one day uh pull the pull who guard strategies of like today, for example, when we eventually came back to like test the bottom, kind of looking to get all the way to the top here and just raising my stop,
Hmm.
because in the end, that's damn near that. I mean, that's 20 points on ES.
Yeah.
If if you're adding, I mean, 20 points is what, 1,000, right? You're adding along the
Hmm.
way. Um, yeah, I'd really like to do something like that because I found, I don't know, I think like the 30 minute is good for that. But for now, not doing that. But I mean, different ways. Some people lock in. A lot of people say to go ahead and lock in half and let the rest ride. And then Hugard is like, I think the big thing is you just can't do what everyone is doing.
You can't
Um,
because you haven't adjusted to his style yet. Yeah,
well,
eventually
yeah,
my
for
goal is
sure.
to trade the daily chart. Imagine catching 200 points on the daily
Yeah,
chart, like,
right,
and not even have
right.
to look at the chart. Like, let's boom.
Yeah, yeah. That's, I mean,
Eventually.
yeah,
But
eventually. But I think not trying to take a strategy. It's what I mean is that it is the secret to finding an edge is just not doing what everyone else is doing. So for him, that's adding instead of cutting.
mhm,
Whereas for somebody who cuts, it would be getting in at the bottom instead of chasing the high. Because
yep.
everyone chases the high. So to make an edge, all you gotta do is make sure you get in at the right time. But I'm kind of just postulating. So yeah, this was that red day. All of these going against my plan with this, and then getting in too early, not waiting for the higher low, getting annoyed. And if I'm going to take this scaled down trade and just try to ride it, I need to have the stop proper, not get annoyed and just get out. And then because I was frustrated, going ahead and trying to crack off three more shorts. This was
Yeah.
just so this was it's a shame because the day before that was actually a pretty clean little day. I actually
Have
bought
you
two scalps here, but
have you noticed that when you don't follow your trade,
yeah,
it's a lot messier? Your trade is a lot
yeah,
messier, your mindset is a lot messier. But when you
yeah, I
follow
have.
your trade plan, it's like so clean that the move works. You're like, shit, I didn't even have to sweat this one. It played out to the T.
I take no heat on it. That's what I've noticed, and I've been typing in the chat is I'm noticing it's feeling really good that I notice when my entries are good because I take no heat on them. Like
Yep.
today, I didn't trade much Wednesday because I had a late night for something, and then didn't trade much today because I had a late night with a flight. But so I had 3 days, two down, one up, and the one that was good, like I pulled up this chart. I mean, they went in my favor almost right away. I mean, this one came back against me like what 1 point, and then went pretty much right to target. And this one came back against a little bit, then went to target. So yeah, I'm definitely noticing that when I don't follow the plan, it's not great. And I'm also noticing I should never be arguing with stuff like the 5 minute Mac or strong 1 minute Mac. Uh, there's just no point. There's always going to be another trade. But I can go ahead and pull up my other red trades. Um, this was yeah, right around here. Um, so I was looking to get short, looking for this pre-market top down to be. Oh wait, am I coming through?
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, okay. I didn't see my mic lighting up. Um, yeah, looking for this pre-market top down to be kind of my rejection level here, and then looking for the pre-market bottom up be a bit of support. Um, oh wait, actually these are oh wait, these are winners. These are winners. I traded yeah entry long sell entry sell. Oh, okay, it's a winner and a loser. Okay. So I'll take this while I'm looking at it right here. I'll take this intermittent winner. Um, yeah, looking for pre-market this green horizontal on the 1 minute to be a bit of support here. Um, and then went for trying a what could perhaps be like a B grade here. So pre-market had been pretty bullish. Kind of just this is the 15 all the way on the left. So came down and then higher low, big push. Um, but then one thing that I was tunnel visioning on is I think this right here is pretty bearish, this entire candle getting reversed.
But
I
not
believe this
really
was a
because
daily candle.
the buyer one is still engulfing,
Okay.
right? So not yet, but once you see this lower high, um, that first lower high,
Yeah.
then you can start thinking short.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
remember how I just told you on the first trade is you didn't even see a lower high or you didn't see a higher low yet to be able to
Right.
take the trade. Right here, you got two lower highs right before the move happens. So you got this lower high. So now you're thinking short. Yeah, sometimes we expect another lower high in this area right here instead of like a double top with it.
Hmm.
But it's still a lower high compared to this high. So usually
Yeah.
the way that I see these big candles is that they can go up to 50% of it.
Yeah.
That's the last point that I want the lower high to be.
Okay.
Know what I'm
Which is
saying? So
pretty
even though we got these lower highs, the maximum lower high that I would accept is somewhere in this area.
okay.
Especially with a big candle like this, you know it's gonna retrace to 50% of this big green candle, of the engulfing candle.
Makes sense.
So
Yeah, you got to
expect the
be
pullback
quick.
to there. Yeah. And that's why I had asked, like, hey, do you anchor here or do you anchor once you see a lower high?
No,
If
yeah,
you anchor
makes sense.
immediately, then you might be able to catch the move sooner than if you anchor until you see a lower high and then you're like, okay, now I can take it.
Yeah, yeah, I try to anchor straight away. Um, that's also part of why I want to kind of just leave it on my level is so that I don't have to. I can anchor it straight away and then see. But like I said, I'll keep experimenting with that.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I remember looking back at this day right here and thinking, you know, I feel like I could have caught this lower high here for the short down.
Yeah.
Um, but what I went for was, I mean, I don't feel I'm trying to not counter trend. I don't. You might disagree. I don't feel like this was total counter trend. I mean, the 5 minute Mac is red,
What
but it's
was
kind of.
counter trend?
I went long here, right? This yellow, which was right here on this close of this candle. And my thought on it was this green, this 50 opacity green horizontal is the pre-market bottom up. We have been pretty bullish in the pre. Um, we got already kind of got these RSI divergence, bullish divergence.
Yeah.
And normally, I think, from my observation, it feels like that dumps out about 3 or 4 times before it actually finds the right base.
Hmm.
Um, but we got that bullish divergence. Um, and then we broke this candle here, closed on it. So I just went for a quick scalp to the next 1 minute bottom, top down in succession, which was right on the wick here. So you can kind of see the structure here. This candle, that candle, that candle. So I went for like because we had been talking about B grades. I went for what I felt like might have been a B or a C scalp real quick. Kind of just two to two, right? It either
Hmm.
goes up there or it happens to get yanked back down. Um, so I don't think this was a super great probability trade. Um, so that's I think maybe what are your thoughts on it? Thinking probably the same thing, like okay for a scalp, nothing too great.
Yeah. Are the what time frames are they all the same? Or
1, 5, 15.
so the 15, yeah, so the 15 was an uptrend, this was an uptrend, and this is the five, you said?
This is the one.
The
So yeah,
one.
the 15 was uptrend, the 5 minute was uptrend, and then I was like, this 1 minute will probably retrace a bit here. Like I don't
Well,
think the 1 minute's just gonna slam everything into a downtrend.
yeah,
So that
because
was
then
kind of
it
my
would
thought
go up
process.
to here. Yeah, right there is what my
Yeah,
thought would have been. So probably
yeah,
like right here to this VWAP right here.
yeah.
Did it
Um,
hit it? Did it hit that or? Did you get out
No, it
before that?
actually, my out was great. Actually, it actually immediately turned back and started continuing down.
Yeah.
This is what that chart turned out to be a little bit later. And then here is a trade that I think was chasing. This was my entry on it. Um, so this is too many VWAPs, but I was like, all right, we're going down in succession. The 5 minute max getting all spread out. We got the 15 mac cross downward. I had this anchor from the original high day. I had this continuation anchor, and then I had this continuation anchor. And then I think my entry was just so late. Like price got up into this zone here. So this candle is this candle. Um, so like this action. So price got up into this zone here. Um, and then I just got in so late, like I feel like I could have gotten in like here. But instead I got in like all the way down here, figuring that I
Just
could
be
catch like a
careful.
wait, what?
I said just be careful with those, especially when you catch the third leg of the move, because it's probably even the fourth
Right?
leg, because you got on over here, right?
Yeah. Right there.
Yeah, see, so you got one, two, three. This is
Yeah.
probably gonna exhaust and not give you as big of a play,
Yeah.
typically.
Yeah.
So you should have got in either here or over here.
Uh-huh.
I usually like what I taught Lasagna Cat is getting on the second pullback. So here's his first pullback. Here's the second. So your optimal entry would have been here to catch this play all the way to here.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Yeah, I think I was like, dang, I missed those moves. Well, the market will give me another one.
Yeah, if you
I gotta
miss a
really stop
move,
doing that.
yeah, right. Rather miss it than risk it. You gotta write
Yeah.
that shit down. Rather
Hmm.
miss it than risk it, because that could have totally went up against you. Yeah, you got lucky and caught it.
Oh, well, it actually, I did go against.
Oh, it stopped you out.
Yeah, so um, I got in uh here, right? Late. Here's my
Hmm.
entry, and then here's that candle here. Push there, and then it went, yep, reverse stopped me out.
Yeah, and
That's
that,
exactly what happened.
yeah, that's what I would have expected getting in on the third leg.
Yeah, yeah, yep,
That kind of
exactly.
sounds funny, but
um, yeah.
yeah, the less probability on the third leg. The
Hmm.
second leg, first, remember, first tag is the highest probability.
Right.
So it's like 75%, maybe 90% that it's gonna go in your favor on the first leg. Second leg,
Uh-huh.
maybe 75 to maybe 65. Third leg, under 50% that it's gonna go in your favor.
Makes sense.
Unless it's around a weekly or a daily level.
Yeah, it
Like
makes
let's say
sense.
it busts a daily, like let's say for instance you would have got in right there, but right here was a daily level and it busted through, right? And then you're
Mm,
like, you should have got in there to get it down and then stop, locked in right here at the base.
yeah, that retest. That makes sense.
But
Uh,
yeah, it's just what I mean. Those are just the scenarios that you're gonna have to start taking note of. Okay, don't get in on the third play or the third leg. Look for a lower high if I'm going in short before even thinking of going short. Look for
yeah.
a higher low before even thinking of going in long. Those rules right there will save your ass more often than not.
Okay. Yeah.
So remember, I told you you're gonna have rules like trading mindset rules, and you're gonna have trading strategy rules. This here goes under trading strategy, but like at the top. Like, okay, it's like you're writing a script, right? So you got to anchor the candles that you anchor, the test or the break candle or the break above the 10 SMA candle, the rules
Mhm.
that you have set.
Yeah.
Then you're like, I'm not getting in until I see a higher low or a lower high. One of those two. Because remember, you're starting to make your trading objectively, not subjectively, just because it hits this level or just because you call it whatever you want, but you're getting in just because it hits a certain part.
Right.
Unless that area has been um how could I say, like busted through and then it's the first retest, it's like the first tag,
Yeah.
then you can get in. I don't know if I'm
No, that does make sense. Yeah, the break and the retest. I see those get penny tagged all the time.
mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, fortune favors bold. First retest. Does that make sense? So yeah, those are my two over my red day and then green scalp and a red. Um, I wasn't, I was all right with. I think this eventually ended up continuing up further. Um, and I ended up cutting this day for flat. I was like, well, I just lost the profit that I made there, so let's cut that day flat. Um, yeah, that was the red day, and this red scalp. And the rest of the week was pretty good. I had two um, winning scalps on Monday, and then on this day, I ended up catching this continuation, which was a third leg down, so one, two, or one, yeah, one, two, and then got in for the third. And this is what I mean by like I'm loving catching these with no heat because I got in here right on the break of my zone down
Mm-hmm.
and ran right to just the bottom retest, marked off these doji.
Yep.
This is what I was typing in chat, respect to the doji, because it's so damn true. Like this came right to the doji, it bounced, then it
Yeah,
finally snapped through it.
and look at if you mark off where's my pencil? What the heck? If you mark off this zone there, oh, something like that. You can respect that. So Doji, and then this level where a lot of liquidity is right here.
Yeah.
A lot of liquidity. But the dojis are very, very respected by futures.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, because you have one, two, three. And now in this, remember waves of three, so it didn't break up because kind of did one, two, three. The failed breakout up failed there. So you know that it's gonna break this level right here.
Yeah, and make a new low.
Hmm.
Yeah, retest at least this. Yeah.
Yep. I don't know if it went below there, but that's what I had been targeting.
Um,
Okay, it failed to break out above this falling wedge right here to go up.
so it did not actually. It ended up reversing here.
Yeah, see, but it
Um,
created a fresh low.
yeah,
So
fresh
that's why
low
I'm
and
saying
then
you
made a
can
new
target
high.
this. And then it broke out. So then one, two, three, you would expect that to break above this,
Yeah.
the third wave. So like I take that back. Because this is only the second wave, right?
Right.
This is the third wave. 1, 2, 3.
Mhm.
So if it fails to break out here and it creates a base, then it might do this.
Yeah.
So the third was successful. But then you're looking in context and in correlation to price action or previous market structure. So remember yesterday, a little bit ago, I said this is the most that I would accept a higher low when it was up here somewhere on a different trade. Down
Yeah.
here, I would expect for this to hold and squeeze up,
Hmm.
for the third wave because of this market structure.
Okay. Hmm.
So then it's 3. So you could have played short right here because it's the third wave down, locked in some at the doji because of this market trying too much. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and then this is 1. Up, 2, up. But if you're a short player like Easy is, he probably would have got in here to counter this market structure or bust through and create a new lower low to this market structure.
Right.
And then right here, you're expecting to go long. And you could draw a trend line. Because then you would draw that trend line. And if it busts through, then you expect for it to come back down, tag it, and then go up. Go up, right? I can't draw it that way.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And that's what it kind of did right here, right? Because you said, because then that's what it would do, boom, and then go up.
Yeah. I think actually if I pull up, let's get 11th. We got yeah, ended up making a little fresh high.
And then came back down.
Yeah, then came right back down. Like you were saying, because that wave was successful.
Mhm.
Um,
But you want that wave to break that last market structure of support.
right. Yeah, it only came to here.
Yeah, see, so it created this. If it would have taken this out, like if it would have stopped right here, then you could have think like this. Go down
Hmm.
or go down.
Oh, but instead that held again. Yeah, that makes
But
sense.
that level is strong. This
Hmm.
level right here, just because when it's a bouncing ball short, and it still
Yeah.
didn't break. It didn't break, so it held. So it's gonna base and bounce and then break. Because remember, it tested it once, twice, maybe like 4 times it tested it. So the fourth and fifth, usually the fourth and the fifth try, it'll bust through.
Yeah.
Most of the time on the fourth.
Yeah.
That's where drawing trend lines will kind of help you. Because you got one test there,
Yeah.
one test there, bust through. So it's weak. And then the buyers had one more chance. And they couldn't take out this area. And then it's coming down. And then
Hmm.
the retest. And then down. And then there's market structure, held support. So now you're stuck in this range
Hmm.
from there to there.
That's pretty cool. That you just called that the third wave there. You thought this was gonna come down. I mean, I can't wait till I'm doing that shit.
And all it is screen time and paying attention to these waves of 3 and putting it all together. Once you got it all together, remember I said once you get your shit together, this is what I meant.
Yeah,
once you put it all together,
yeah.
you'll
I
be
mean, it's coming
laser. You'll be
together when I
forecasting.
listen to my forecasting. Yeah. Yeah, when I listen to my inner self, like it's honestly like it's either getting me out of trades early when I really listen to my inner voice. It's either getting me out of trades early or telling me shit is not going to work or perhaps that it will. Like
Yep.
it's just that listening, that true listening. It's I read this thing the other day. It said like I mean it's kind of cliche, but you can't see your reflection in boiling water and the
Hmm.
boiling is the energy, just like you
Yep.
can't see the truth in the energy of anger.
Hmm. Yeah.
um so just for a while now I've been like, I know that I kind of get this. I know I'm intelligent enough to get this. Why the fuck isn't it working for me? Like, and
Eh,
it's
eh,
like when really I just got to be calm, patient.
You notice that with Brandon, he's so cool, calm, and collected. Even though when he's in
Yeah,
management mode, he's still like, okay, I can manage this. I'm gonna get out green, and he ends up getting out green. But
yeah,
if you're done with the best loser wins, if you want to get more into the physicality of what your body goes through when you're trading, read
already
the hour be,
downloaded.
read the hour between the dog and the wolf,
Yep.
and that's what it starts talking about the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is your
Mhm.
algo or your intuition. So you start building that up, and it'll save you. Like it's saved, or Brandon has built that up so good that he can tell when it's gonna dump or it's gonna squeeze, and
Yeah,
it saves his ass, or and he's just so cool, calm, and collected that he
yeah,
rarely takes any reds, like rarely. Like, I think
yeah.
last year he did like 127 days without a red, which is fucking amazing. 4 months, no red.
Uh-huh.
No red days. I'm not saying no red trades. I'm saying no red days.
Yeah. Um,
Um,
yeah.
but you start building up that gut algo, and you want to train it to see the good patterns that you see. Because
Uh-huh.
when you have that when you have it trained up so much that when you get burned or when the trade goes against you, it's gonna get burned into your gut algo. So next time that shit happens, your gut algo is gonna say like, no, don't click the button.
Hmm.
And I've noticed that when I'm looking to get in a trade because another member is getting in long, I'm like, nah, that's too high for me. I can't get in long. And I mean, it plays out in their favor. It's just not my type of trade. And
Yeah.
I don't want to engrave that in my algo because I don't want to like throw it off and then you're gonna end up getting confused in the later
Yeah.
trade.
Yeah. I mean, the writing's on the wall. Everyone's got to do what
Yeah,
works for them.
and I was gonna say when you were talking about why doesn't this work for me is because one day you'll follow your trade plan, the next day you won't, or one day
Yeah.
you'll you're using bits and pieces at a time. You need to start putting it all together.
Yeah.
Like one day your psychology's off, but you still, if you start to journal you or start to write this stuff down, you're gonna be like, my psychology was off. Like you said, you didn't trade on Wednesday because you had a late night, which is great. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
what you want to be. You don't want to be hungover. You don't want to be mad at your partner, or you don't want to, you want to you want to have your trade environment good. You don't want to be
Uh-huh.
stressed out because you're just bringing that stress into the market and you're just going to stress you out even more. It doesn't help
Yeah.
going to go trade when you're stressed out over work or over a relationship or a business doing or whatever the case is. Um, and that's why I had you create like traders mindset rules and then your strategy rules, because if your mindset ain't right, your environment ain't right, then your trading is probably gonna not be good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
start putting it all together. Your mindset's right. Cool. My strategy is good. All right, I gotta call out levels because
Hmm.
I think calling out levels prevents FOMO. If you say I'm gonna get in at the bottom down VWAP at 534 with 23 cents, and I'm not
Yeah.
getting in until it hits that level, or
Yeah.
I'm not gonna start looking to get in until it hits that level.
Yeah.
And that's all you got to do is just slowly start putting it all together, and you're gonna start to see that consistency. And when you stick to your rules, stick to your plan, you're gonna have a good day. Whether you have a small red and two big greens, boom, you're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you get,
Or two small reds.
yeah, yeah, and then
I
just
gotta
call it
accept
like
that.
you have to. Like it's always better, and I always try to tell myself if I have a red day, it's like, okay, I can make back $500
Yeah.
tomorrow, or I can make back $250 tomorrow.
Yeah.
But if you're holding on and you have three red trades, or you bag hold and you have $1,000 to make back tomorrow, when your daily goal is only like 250 or $500, it's gonna be a little bit harder. It's always
Yeah. It's
better
gonna
to
be
just cut it.
frustrating
And you just
for
you
sure.
already you're already fucking up your day for tomorrow by bag holding or taking more red trades than you should have.
Yeah.
Because you're
Yeah.
already setting yourself up for chase mode instead of I could do this, take two green trades the next day and you're already either full or you already made yourself whole.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the for just the longest time, I've not been a good loser. Like, I just didn't do shit that I like lost at. Like, I would either go and practice forever, and there was nothing at stake. Like when I was little, like video games, or eventually I discovered I played tennis, and it's like I would just go and practice and practice and there was nothing to gain or lose. So there was
Hmm.
nothing except the technique. Um, and it's like, so losing in like a sport or a game or something is just a totally different beast than losing money. I just haven't been a good loser, been
Yep,
like too stubborn and arrogant. And I mean, that's really like you're saying, I got to go and look at my mindset rules every day and then only follow my process rules.
yep.
Um, and it's going to come, I think. I mean, I'm giving myself like 6 months to a year to fully figure it out. And I don't
And
know
just
if that's,
just just
yeah,
be careful with that because I've noticed that typically it takes about 3 years
yeah,
to finally like either be profitable or break even for the year.
yeah,
It took me about 3.5 years, and that's after 1.5 years. This is three years or 3.5 years of live trading, right? Before that, I had traded a year and a half trying to prevent me blowing up an account.
yeah,
And guess what? I still blew up account.
right,
I blew up three three personal accounts that I had started from $600, built up to, three different times. I built it up to six, I built it up to 10, and I built it up to 12. And I
yeah,
blew them up. You would think, fuck, starting with 600 and going up to, a few grand, that you wouldn't blow it up. But fucking, that psychology, dude, is no fucking,
yeah,
it's fucking hard. And
yeah,
if you could do it faster, pat yourself on the back. And that's why I created this group, is to speed up that process. And there's new traders out there that have reached out to me and they're about to throw in the towel. And I'm like, How long have you been trading? Oh, 3 years, 2.5 years, or 3.5 years. I was like, bro, you have it. You just have to put it together. You're
Uh-huh.
there. You're there. You're there. You're there. Don't give up.
Yeah.
And guess what? Like a month or two later, they're fucking consistent. And I can tell, I can see it or hear it in their chat or in their confidence on their voice when they're there.
Hmm.
You just it takes time. Don't put that extra added pressure to 6 months or a year. I just in the 3 months that we spent together through this process, I want you to have that system built, right? You have that system built. You have your psychology mindset, you have your trading rules, you have your game plan rules or your how to draw up a game plan. And you're now you're going to be able to put that to the test and start building that consistency and building that confidence. And then once you're there, you're gonna have an awesome year.
Yeah. And it's
And
very worth it.
it is. Once you start seeing like, yeah, I only had 3 red trades in a month, or I only had 4 red trades the whole month. Like fucking that's awesome, dude.
Hmm.
And you'll get there. You just gotta put in the screen time.
For sure.
A lot of people think like, yeah, I'm gonna learn this strategy, and then in 3 months I'm gonna be making $6,000 a month. Can you? Yes, but you have to have a plan. You have to have a system, and you have to have rules that you stick by. If
Right.
you don't, you can rely that your trade day is probably gonna be crappy.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, that's the goal. I would love to. I mean, if things work out, I think like I do believe that if I follow all of these, the question is what would I get myself to do? If I follow my mindset and psychology rules, and then I
Hmm.
follow my system, I do think it within 6 months I could be profitable.
Yeah,
And if I don't, then that's then that's because of my own choices. So
exactly. Or your own psychology that you can't get yourself out of.
yeah,
Is
yeah, definitely.
if you're still in that fearful mindset, it's not a good place to be. If you're like I see traders that can call out trades and they're right. But did they take that trade? No,
Yeah,
because they're scared of losing money.
right.
And it's like, bro, you called out that trade 3 days this week. Why aren't you taking trades? Or why aren't you sticking to your plan, your trade plan?
Yeah,
Oh, it's because, and we've all been there where we've taken a trade in it, we bag hold and we have a big loser. Remember, you started out this process where you're like, I've been consistent for 2 weeks and then I just fuck it up with one big red trade.
yep,
And we've all gone through that. Just know
yeah,
that. Everybody should know that we've all been there. And that's
yeah.
the way you learn.
Right.
You gotta put your hand to the fire a couple times. Some of us might do it once. Some of us might do it 10 times.
Yeah,
But you're gonna learn.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I've at least stopped bag holding. That's
What's
for
that?
sure. I've at least stopped bag holding.
Yeah,
I've
see?
learned that lesson
So learn that lesson and now you gotta learn to stick to your plan.
for sure. I should have been more afraid to lose money for a while. The problem is like it's like when you're already starting in a pretty large hole from like not even from trading, just from
Hmm.
like other life shit starting in a hole. It's like
Yeah,
who fucking cares if I dig it? If I dig it like 20, 30%, who cares? Like, but
yeah.
then you end up doing that and it's like, oh wait, I care. Like, I care a lot.
Yeah.
So that's why I've kind of shifted my mindset at this point. I'm like, especially having rigid max daily losses. It's like I can't afford moving my stop, and bag holding means I'm done for the day if I hit my
Yep.
max daily. Um, so
Cool.
yeah, it's good shit. Definitely
Cool.
getting there. Got to stick
Yeah,
to it. If
definitely.
anyone
I
could
see
figure
it.
it out.
I
Thank
definitely
you,
see
bro.
you getting there, and I'm starting to notice a little bit more confident with yours. You're calling out. You're calling out prices and anchor VWAPs, and that's what you want to be. You'll be like, okay, now I got to stick to that plan.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. So we'll end it there, and we'll look forward to next week where we're gonna slowly start getting into market psychology, and hopefully adding this on top of what you already know, it's gonna help you forecast a little bit better, especially with data days and news days or whatever's coming out. So, cool.
Sounds good. I already
Thanks
have
for
Dog and
sharing.
the Wolf. I'll read that.